Hit me up at Sori@gmail.com and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is a community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch, indeed. A child shall lead them to buy our merch. Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. I think that we're just hanging out. I think that's all we're doing. I think we're hanging out. I think you guys, if you have some questions, you can ask your boy Vincent some questions. I'll try to answer them for you to the best of my ability. By the way, type 22 if you can hear my voice. There we go. Would love an explanation for your recent YouTube posts. We post a lot of things on YouTube. What specifically do you want an explanation for, Glenn, my brother? I'm not specifically sure as to what you're referring to. What's up, everybody? Good. All right, so people can hear me. Excellent. Boy. All right, let's check out some of these questions. Audio's fixed. Okay, audio's good. Oh, the short about the kid eating out of the parents' fridge? Yeah, that's, we used to have this friend named Chris when we were growing up. And my older brother loved Chris. And Chris would impose himself on us. And my mom, she was, she was like, get out of my, she wasn't having it, but Chris never really listened to her. Because he really did end up like he was one of us, What do we do if we find our sanctification is growing stagnant? I think one of the easiest things to do if your sanctification is growing stagnant is to go on a giant evangelism trip. And say to yourself, there's not going to be a day that goes by where I don't talk to somebody about Jesus. And that will speed up your sanctification like you wouldn't believe. So, that's one. Another one would be to get married. That'll speed up your sanctification. Or it'll prove that you're never really a believer.
Wow.
So, there's that. You guys, there's a lot of options. There's a lot of options you could do if you feel your sanctification is stagnant. Sanctification, by the way, for the uninitiated, is it's a Christian way of talking about Jesusification. We know that Jesus came and died on the cross for our sins and rose from the dead on the third day. But after you accept the forgiveness of your sins, you've got to live it in the world, right? You got to live in the world, and as such, God says, okay, now you have a perfect example. So Jesus is a perfect sacrifice before he's the perfect example. But after the sacrifice, then you try to live like Jesus did. Hence the term sanctification. You mentioned color and race. In the short description, not sure how it applies in this situation, because she's white and he's black. I don't think that. I think racism is obviously still an issue in the country. So I'm not one of those people that believes that the way to end racism is to not to talk about it. But I also think that a lot of my compatriots, a lot of my brothers of African descent, believe the country's at a certain place, and I actually am a little bit more optimistic about where I believe that the actual country's at. So those are some of the motivations behind why I post things like that from time to time. AI art. Yes, that is AI art in the back, for sure. For sure. Man. They're probably the hardest group of people to feel sorry for, man, but damn, all that shit going down in LA, man. 24 people dead, I heard so far, according to the news. That's tough. That is really tough. Good Lord. People saying it's climate change. Other people saying, no, Trump was going to give you guys water, but you didn't want the water because you want to protect the smelts. I don't know, guys. I don't know. It's so crazy to me. Like, the whole thing. Like, it's just, like, unbelievable. I mean, it's 2025. Like, you would have figured that we'd have come up with some systematized way to solve these problems. You know what I mean? What's good, Adar? Adar Tabach. Good to see you, buddy. Well, it might not matter to you, Glenn, but there's a lot of other people where it does matter to them. And other people have had different experiences. So, that's why. Smelt fishy. California is a cautionary tale about a monoparty ruling one state. You know, I don't know enough about what's really going down in California to really comment. I know what I see on the news. Let me say it this way. You know, you have your social media pockets, you know, your go-to people on social media. But I think everybody even agrees, even those people, though, are generally biased one way or another. Then you go to the big media, right? And everybody knows where big media lies. But all three of those little pockets of information are all saying the same thing about California. You know, obviously, Libs of TikTok, whatever that lady's name is, like, she's going to post the worst of the worst. So a lot of times, like, I just skip it. Because I don't know, like, I don't know if they're just exploiting a situation that happens like once a quarter or something like that, but because we're not LA natives, we don't know. Or if the stuff that they're saying is happening on a regular basis, things like that. I know that Anna Kasparian, she's got some real issues with the crime situation, but she was a survivor of one of those attacks. So I don't know, man. I think it's real hard to. It's hard to say that California was run well and that it's just right-wing propaganda to say that they're not doing well. I don't think they're doing well, in my opinion. Have you ever listened to Pastor Vadi Bacham? Yeah, I'm very familiar with Mr. Bacham. The grooming gang scandal in England is the most cowardly sin I've seen in a while. Do you think the Quran is where the grooming actions are justified? Well, first and foremost, it's almost the same thing as what I just said about LA. I'm not over there. I've got people that are very important to me that are over there. And one dude in particular had been blowing the whistle on this from literally 3 or 4 years. In our little neck of the woods on the internet. So this dude's been tracking it. We actually did about 1.5 years, 2 years ago, we actually did a video on Middle America about the connection between Islam and these grooming gangs. There is definitely information in the Quran and the Hadith that would absolutely justify what's happening with these grooming gangs for sure. There's also information in the Quran and the Hadith that would also justify these slave markets where they were selling little girls. I don't know if that was an out in the public thing or not, but there are videos of ISIS dudes buying girls on the market. There's enough in the Quran and Hadith to absolutely support that action in 2025. So yeah, I mean, I don't know outside. I don't know how else to answer the question. It's just what it is. Saw her going off on X about the alleged arsonist. Hey, what's up, Christian Case? Can't hear anything. I don't know. My stuff looks like we're in good shape. Hey everyone. Hey Jay, what's up, bro? What's up? Yeah, that grooming gangs thing though is terrible to me, man. Like, you just look over there and you're like, man. I just think I think those guys have hit a point of no return, man. I really do. I don't know what the thing was, but supposedly like Muhammad is going to be the most like popular name over there in the UK. I mean, good luck. Don't think any specific religion has a monopoly on evil. See Catholic Church. I don't think that any institution has a monopoly on evil. But I will say that the Catholic Church would be like the Elon Musk of evil institutions in our day and age. Just because there are pockets in areas where people in an Islamic context will do sexually abusive things to children. Obviously, we just got done talking about these grooming gangs and the Islamic excuses or the Islamic data that could clearly justify all those behaviors. But at some point, some people cross a line. You see what I'm saying? And I think with the Catholic Church, the reason it's particularly heinous in my view, well, there's a couple things. I don't want to get too much into theology, but one of the issues, obviously, is they have a priesthood that is separate from the rest of the lay people. So in Protestantism, you've got this doctrine called the priesthood of all believers, where everybody's a priest. Nobody in a Protestant idea has a different kind of special connection to God than the other guy. But in a Roman Catholic system, they do have that. They do have a hierarchical, tangible human system that is above the 1.5 billion people that subscribe to that religion. And so, to me, that's a lot worse than the football coach or even the 4th grade teacher, because it's like you're entrusting the deepest part of your being, your spirituality, to this person. And they've got all this vested authority. And so for them to use that particular uneven power structure to destroy people while simultaneously associating it with things about God and religion and stained glass and things like that. To me, that's ninth circle of hell shit. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's horrible, because I believe we're spiritual beings, and so you have ruined and scarred somebody's spirit forever, and they can't even go to God for solace a lot of the times because you did it in a context where God was supposedly the center of all that shit. I just think it's absolutely terrible. I think it's uniquely evil. And I think it's much worse when a Christian or a representative of a Christian institution does some shit like that. I always think it's a lot more worse than the other stuff. Because Paul said, what is it business of ours to judge those outside of the church? That's not... And then Paul goes on to say, if we judged ourselves, we wouldn't be judged along with the world. If we would have took care of this problem, and I understand I'm a Protestant, but we're just talking Big Ten Christian here. If we would have took care of the problem, then you wouldn't have to hear atheists making fun of you and jokes about how your priests are nasty and all the rest of this. And then I've seen, like, dudes get, like, more mad at the atheists mocking the priests than to be mad at the priests who had apathy for the soul of these kids. Like, man, I don't care. Okay? That's the answer to that question. It was a terrible question. What is your opinion on YouTube channels on interpreting of the Bible when they say they're studied and researched, tablets full of papyrus, etc.? Are we talking about Billy Carson? Yeah, I mean, yeah, Billy Carson. I mean, I don't know how to answer that question. Ask it to me in a different way if you really want to hear an answer to that question. Oh, man. Have you looked into any of Trump's claims on the Panama Canal and wanting the U.S. to take control over it? To me, like, I don't understand why people are saying that he's crazy because he wants the Panama Canal and because he wants Greenland. Like, to me, I'm like, oh, well, shit, we could be expanding the empire in a bloodless fashion. That's cool. Like, it just seems to me like anything this guy does, man, like, he's like, I'm going to feed Africa. You know, we're going to create the first internal combustion machine or something like that for Africa. Like, people would find a way to make that bad. Like, man, just slow your roll. I mean, I don't know what the designs are, but I'm pretty sure that Trump is going for the legacy thing, right? He wants to be a Mount Rushmore type president. And so he wants to accomplish really big things in the country. Like, I would say just let him, man. Like, for real. I mean, if he, you know, what's the harm if we dominate the Panama Canal? What's the harm if the Dutch are good with Greenland being a U.S. territory? Like, how does that hurt anybody? It's a serious question. Wish I had some good question. I just want to know, how many Red Bulls have you had today? What's up, I Look at News? I've only had one Red Bull, I think. Like, I'm not like, obviously I don't want any war. I don't want any jihad. I don't want us, you know, murdering people for resources, right? Like, I think all of us in Middle America are pretty much calibrated on that. But I don't know why it's so bad that he wants, you know, Greenland or wherever. Like, why is that such a bad thing? I mean, I don't know. Like, I think it's pretty cool. I think it's pretty aspirational. I think it's pretty like, hey, man, you know, America's back. You see what I'm saying? Good day, Mr. I Look at News. Yeah, I mean, look, if somebody can post to me, because seriously, I'm ignorant on this. Like, if somebody could post to me what it is about the Greenland purchase or the Panama Canal stuff, why is that automatically a negative thing. And look, if the answer is pretty obvious, you can call me an idiot and say, Vin, here's the obvious answer, you idiot, right? Just give me an answer, give me an explanation, because I'm really trying to figure this shit out. Like, how could that possibly be bad? To me, it's like, you get the country something to strive for, and you could do it without people dying in bunches. I think that's great. Did they ever figure out the whole New Jersey drones thing? No, they haven't, and we just stopped talking about it. Like, Americans are insane, man. You got a guy that they try to assassinate President Trump 3 or 4 times over there in that bitch. Like, the first one got covered, the second one was like, we're just used to it. Now we got UFOs flying all over the place. Like, I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Like, I've got a video right now of some like crazy shit in the sky right outside of our place. So it's like, I guess we don't care. We don't care about nothing. I guess I don't know. Does California fires? Do the California fires look planned to you? I don't know anything about fires and that whole world, so I'm probably, like, of all the people in the chat, literally the last person you should ask that question, because I don't, like, I wouldn't know what to look for. You know what I'm saying? If the fires were deliberate or whatever. Russia. Greenland has a lot of oil and gas. Russia and China are massively invested. They won't give it up easily. Yeah, but if the Dutch say, hey, yeah, we're going to give it to the Americans, those two ain't going to do nothing. I mean, everybody knows we blew up Nord Stream 2. They didn't do a damn thing. I don't think Putin nor Xi would test Trump if the Dutch wanted to give us Greenland for free. They have, I find that hard to, Trump is undefeated against female candidates. True. Justin Trudeau resigning, I really want to say Trump had something to do with it. I think Trump might have fast-tracked it, because anytime that Trudeau was saying anything, Trump would get on TV and talk about how he punked Trudeau. And so maybe the Canadians are like, look, man, we can't keep getting dragged by this dude because of you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like I don't like Trudeau at all, but I feel like, once Trump got elected, that was it for him. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there was no way that it was ever going to go back to anything even resembling him having any respect at all whatsoever as a public figure in Canada. So, yeah. But again, I don't really know how politics works in Canada. Like, the shit that dude pulled against his own citizens was crazy to me. Like, I was like, damn, man. I hope nobody does that shit over in America, man. Shit's gonna get bloody, boy. Shit's gonna get bloody in America if you try that dumb shit in America. China has more money to buy all of Denmark. Denmark will not let go of their biggest trade partner. U.S. needs to spend money on USA, not adventurism. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Because if it's a chess piece for Russia and China, I'm all about that life too. If we could beat them on the chessboard and not the field, I'm good with that. I'm good with a lot of stuff, man, as long as it's not bloody. You see what I'm saying? As long as it's not bloody, and as long as it's like this, I'm cool. I think everybody should just be cool. We should be happy with what we got. You know what I'm saying? That's how I feel about it. That's how I feel about it. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. What would Eminem say? My name is Bennett and I'm not in it. My name is Bennett, and I am not in it. Dude had a 16% approval rating. Justin Trudeau. Oh, man. That's crazy. That's crazy. Hey, babe, is there any more hot dogs? Yep. Cool. USA has one functional icebreaker. Cannot compete for that route. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Trump hates war, so hopefully it doesn't happen. I don't know if there's any U.S. politician that we can say legitimately hates war other than the dude that just died, Jimmy Carter. I'm not sure that we've ever had a president who, quote, hates war. Yeah, I mean, the Russians, their economy, I mean, they survived all those crazy sanctions. It's terrible to get sanctioned at a time that you're trying to engage in a real war, because that whole replenishment of soldiers thing, you could pretty much flub that out of the window. The only advantage or disadvantage is that you're sharing a border with the people that you're going to engage, and so you can channel some resources there instead of, for the maritime stuff. But people's budgets are not infinite, man. And definitely, like, the goals that certain folks in America had for Russia relative to keeping them weak, spreading themselves too thin. I mean, you saw the impact of that with Bashar al-Assad. Biden is way, way out of commission, but Putin couldn't do it because he's allocating so much time and attention and resources over here that he couldn't flex his muscle and save his friend. So, I mean, it's interesting times that we're living in, for sure. For sure. Do you see Kamala at the Carter funeral with Obama and Trump laughing up behind her? Gold. Well, yeah, Obama and Trump were having, the time of their lives. Here's the funny thing to me about Trump. Trump has never said Barack Obama is Hitler. He's never said whatever. He said, like, this guy did a terrible job, blah, 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 blah. But, like, the personal... And I get it. He also said that, he probably wasn't born here or whatever. But when you have people like Cenk and Anna up to 2 weeks ago, and unfortunately Bernie, you have all these people using terminology like fascist, Hitler. But then you see him sitting down and they're chuckling, and people are like, well, he has to be professional. It's like, well, I mean, professional with Hitler? I mean, isn't the only proper response to Hitler is to, isn't that the punch the Nazi thing that was, you know what I'm saying? I don't know, man. I don't know. But, yeah, I saw Kamala interacting with the Bidens. That was a pretty cold relationship. I don't know if you saw that clip, but the Bidens showed up and she basically gave him a head nod and was like looking straight, like didn't make any eye contact or whatever. Because, I mean, they played her pretty terribly and she played them pretty terribly, and what can you do? What can you do? What are your thoughts on on Biden awarding Hillary Clinton the Presidential Medal of Freedom? All right, well, let me actually give some real thought to this. In my opinion, Hillary Clinton was the single most qualified presidential candidate of my lifetime. The first one I really, really saw and really knew what was going on was the tail end of Bill Clinton. And at the time, he was the governor of Arkansas. So it's kind of like, okay, like he's got some experience. I'm pretty sure he was the governor of Arkansas. Something like that. It's like, okay, he's got some experience running, like, a state. Okay. Then you had Bush. And it was like, who is this guy? This guy's never... yeah, but he was governor of Texas. Okay, he's governor of Texas. All right, well, let's make him the president, right? Then after that, you had Obama, who, prior to becoming a senator, was a community organizer, right? And then you have Hillary Clinton. She was a senator. She was a governor. She was Secretary of State. She doubled as a... She architected and executed a lot of the operations relative to the Arab Spring. She's single-handedly responsible for the death of Gaddafi. I mean, this woman was the most qualified. When I listed all these other people, the most they did was governor or whatever. She had foreign and domestic assignments. She was all over the place. So my point is, she was the most accomplished presidential candidate that I have ever seen in my lifetime. Just raw talent, having the history and the experience. Remember, 2 terms in the White House with Bill, and she wasn't just in the bleachers watching. I mean, she was out there. A lot of people don't know this. Hillary actually came up with a Medicare for all type proposal way back in the early mid-90s. So when I look at it from that vantage point, that she never sat there as like an anonymous, first lady. She was out there doing her thing. When you think about how qualified she has been, although I mean, she really made her legend in certain communities during the Arab Spring time, but look at what it got us. So, like, I can see why he would do that. I could see why he would give her the Medal of Freedom, because I do think that it would be a decent hat tip. Regardless, everybody knows I disagree with her probably on every aspect of politics, but I do think it's important to honor people like, yo, you've been in the middle of this shit since, from here to here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I understand that. A lot of people think that she got, looked over because she was a woman. And so, it's like going to the Oscars or whatever, and they have like the Lifetime Achievement Award or something like that. So, like, you could presumably go the entire time and never win an Oscar, but then you can win an Oscar for a Lifetime Achievement Award, right? Like, it's just what it looked like to me with her. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, look, aside from the moral stuff, I do believe she deserves it. Hillary was the most evil candidate I have ever seen. Bush was Bill's cousin, who's Obama's cousin. Yeah, I know that there was some weird bloodline thing there, which is pretty interesting. She should be in prison for war crimes. I agree. Hillary is evil. What they did to the women that accused Bill of rape is disgusting. Plus, what she did with Haiti too horrible. I agree. They're morally reprehensible. I'm not a fan of Hillary Clinton. I'm just looking at it and saying, this is the most accomplished woman in my lifetime, and I do think that she would be a decent archetype, or maybe even prototype, for a woman to navigate the terrain. Hillary never, I hate saying it this way, God forgive me, but she never joy-tailored her way into the seats of power. She did it with hard work. She did it with her mind. She was persuasive. I think she has a lot of really great, admirable qualities that a woman who wants to maintain her dignity can still do it. She's just going to have to deal with a lot of the fallout, right? Of not fitting into that mold, which she did. There was a series on HBO or something like that, that talked about that whole struggle that she had. But I will say, since Christine is calling me out here, Christine, I mean, also has a point, because it is rumored and believed to be true, and I believe it to be true, whatever that means. But it's rumored and believed to be true that Mr. Clinton was rolling through his whole front office when he was in Arkansas, and one girl broke and another girl broke a story and another girl. And it's reported that Hillary basically confronted them herself, threatened them on behalf of Bill, blah, 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 blah. Which, is kind of like the ultimate betrayal, I would assume, in the minds of many women. So, like, I get it. Like, I don't feel sorry for her. I just think that if you take her character issues aside, I just admire how she was able to... She chose more difficult paths for herself that she didn't need to take. So, I don't know. I just respect the hell out of that. I know she's evil. I would never vote for her. I was happy when she lost, all that. I was annoyed. I was in New York City when she was going up against Rick Lazio, and she beat Rick Lazio, which was ridiculous because she went to a freaking Yankee game and she talked about Patrick Ewing at the freaking Yankee game. She wore an oversized hat because she doesn't understand how hats worked. It was like literally the first time in her life that she must have wore a hat. It was ridiculous. My point is, she operated like a politician, and she refused to do the lady thing. She just refused to do it. And, it probably cost her being the first female president, Have you ever looked into the Clinton body count? I have. I'll say that's a yellow light on that, Christine. I have heard, like the Seth Rich, I think the guy's name is, black dude that died in the plane crash on the way back home during the Bosnia-Herzegovina stuff. I mean, there was a big conspiracy theory. That was probably one of the biggest conspiracy theories before 9/11. And when I say conspiracy theories, I have no freaking clue what that means. And I'm being genuine. Like, I don't believe that a conspiracy theory automatically means it's wrong by virtue of it being a conspiracy theory. I think by this time, all of us are like, okay, our government routinely lies to us, so if there's no conspiracy, we should probably be worried. If the president of the USA asks you for sex, you do not have a choice. Therefore, consent cannot be given. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Yeah, I don't know about that. And then when I think about like Monica Lewinsky, for example, like she parlayed her activity with Mr. Clinton into TV deals and all the other stuff. So I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know. I prefer my genocidal maniacs to be incompetent and unable rather than driven and experienced. Yeah, which genocidal maniacs are you talking about, though? I wouldn't even hire her as a babysitter. I think there's a lot of truth to that Clinton body count. A lot of ex-bodyguards and people connected. I mean, look, man, I've seen I've seen things from politicians, that definitely, yeah, I believe anything, man. Just say it that way. I believe anything for sure. By the way, Vin, George Soros also received a Presidential Medal of Freedom medal. Well, yeah, I mean, I understand why. I mean, the guy has given billions of dollars. He's invested in the cause. I probably disagree with 9/10 of the causes that he supports. I've been hearing this guy's name since forever. I googled him one time, and he looked like I promise before the Most High. Like, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but he did look like the dude from Star Wars. The bad one. He looked sickly all the time. He was old and shit. I don't know, was it Palpatine or something like that? I don't know. But he looked like that, and the minute I saw that, I'm like, nah, I'm not reading about this guy, because, like, he's on his way out, obviously, and, I don't know. But yeah, George Soros, aside from what he supported, I get it, because, like, he anybody that is, like, willing to put up, you know what I'm saying? The whole put up or shut up thing. Anybody that's willing to do that, I got respect for. You know what I mean? But yeah, man. It's a crazy world we live in. A lot of politicians are probably pretty corrupt, but that woman has been her entire career. She is dedicated. I'll give her that, though. Yeah, I mean, I don't see Hillary as uncorrupt. I just admire the fact that she is corrupt in the way that the boys are corrupt, and that she was able to maintain her own physical integrity while she went out and maneuvered to obtain this power. And that kind of model is something I would want my daughters to replicate. Kamala Harris's model is not. You see what I'm saying? So that's kind of like the break for me. It's like, would I want my daughters, if that was their goal, they were goal oriented, I'm gonna get that goal. I'm not gonna sell out my integrity, but I'm gonna get that goal, and that means I'm gonna have to be a little bit rough around the edges. So what? Like, I'd love that. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of where I am with it. I know it's kind of weird. Gotta run, bud. Have a great night. Wish you had a fantastic new year. Happy and wealthy. Yes, sir. I appreciate it. Yeah, like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't, And the thing about these politicians is, like, I was making this point with Obama, like, it's like you're in love with a baseball team, right? Like, like the Yankees. Oh, the Yankees are everything, blah, 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 blah. And then they lost the World Series. And it's like, oh, man, you're depressed for days, right? And then you open the New York Daily News. There's Alex Rodriguez having a time of his life, laughing like crazy, veins popping out of his head because he's laughing so hard. He's holding his belly and all that because they've been laughing for 4 minutes straight. And there you sit in your house and you're like, oh, you're all depressed and defeated. All the lights are off. You're contemplating the existential ramifications of everything you've ever known. And then you look at, there's the New York Daily News, and Alex Rodriguez is having a time of his life. That's because the people that play this sport don't take it as seriously as we do. When Obama was out there talking about, your rights are on the ballot, bodily autonomy is on the ballot, democracy is on the ballot, that was all for show. He didn't believe that shit. He never believed that Trump was a fascist. He never believed that Trump was Hitler. Who's going to sit there? I don't care where it is, bruh. You can't tell me that King Von had got more character than our presidents do. King Von be like, yeah, I'll show up at your funeral to drill on you niggas. How you gonna go? How you gonna go to a funeral and sit and be chummy with Hitler? How you gonna go to a funeral and sit and be chummy with a fascist who's going to take away the elections. Allahu Akbar. They never believed that. That's what it looks like to me. It looks like to me that at all those times when they were saying all that shit, they didn't really believe it. I don't think most people believe that about Trump. Believe what about Trump? You don't think most people believe what about President Trump? Yeah, I mean, look, man, a lot of this stuff is all performative for the media. You know what I'm saying? A lot of this is just performative for the media. But yeah, man, these people are wilding out. They are wilding out. These people on the news, they're all crashing out. They're all mad. When you know they're happy because you know their ratings are going to start shooting up again once they start, doing nothing but non-stop Trump stories for us all to be enraged about. Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the few good things that I can surmise from the election is that at least where I'm pretty sure the whole Hitler thing, I think that's over with now. So bless God. Recently heard Walgreens is shutting down 7 locations in San Francisco due to constant ram raids and theft. Is San Francisco becoming too dangerous for businesses to invest? I mean, first of all, I don't know why you would make anywhere in California the basis for your business. I mean, come on, get an LLC and set up shop in a different state, one with no state tax. Good night. Yeah, I mean, I like I said, I don't feel qualified to comment on California because I don't really know what it's like over there. So, I don't want to be like saying all types of shit about like how it is and how bad it is over there, and I've only seen a couple pictures. You know what I'm saying? But I'm hearing that it's not it's not really looking good, y'all. It's not really looking good, is what it looks. It's what I've been hearing. But maybe you faithful villagers have other experiences, but that's what it looks like to me. Don't tell your daughters to grow up like Hillary Clinton. Well, yeah, I mean, I don't want her to be like Hillary Clinton in that regard, but I do want her to be as fierce as she needs to be. For her to be taken seriously so that she can attack her girls and get them the way that she wants to get them instead of the way that dudes want her to get them, Because Hillary never did the whole submissive wife act, nor did she do the whole I'm a semi-prostitute act. Like, she just went for it and said, look, you're going to take me based on my qualifications, and that's it. And I'm saying I respect the hell out of that. Now, what she did with her power, I get it. Horrible. But I'm just saying, I respect that because I know how hard that is. Will San Francisco become a retail desert? They got to do something about it, man. I mean, it's getting bad. Like one of the copes that I saw people using, they're like, because Florida got called so quickly for Trump, people were saying, oh, that's good. That the reason that Florida got called for Trump so quickly is because all these people are migrating to Florida. And they're like, which is good news. And I said, how is that good news? They're like, because all the people in Ohio and all the rest of it who would have been able to sway that state, now they're all in Florida. Like, that was the mindset. That was their mindset. It's like, I don't think that's what's happening, bruh. I mean, the country showed us that that's not what's happening. But, like, California is going to have to figure something out, right? Like, they can't keep going on like this. Like, they're going to figure something out. I just, a lot of people talk about, oh, Democrat, Republican, like different wings of the same bird. Like, when I look at Katrina and the incompetence that led to Katrina at the local government level, which, by the way, I'm sorry, but black Democrats, sorry, that was Katrina. I'm not wrong. Then I look at this situation. Your country, the state that you're governing is literally on fire. You are on a plane to Ghana, watching the place burn down on TV like the rest of us. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Yeah, I don't know. It just sucks, man, because people's homes burned to the ground like ashes. 24 deaths. For me to hear that, we did offer you water so that your firemen wouldn't run out of water when they were fighting these fires, but you refused to accept it because it was Trump. Trump was the one that gave you... It's like... You're just trying to process it. Like, I'm just trying to figure this shit out, man. It's, like, so weird to me. I think Tulsi's a better role model than Hillary. Oh, I agree. I agree. 100%. 100% I agree with that. Tulsi's definitely somebody... Yeah, I agree. Don't you find it weird about the number of average voters that vote every year compared to the 2020 election this year? I have a contact in a pretty decently funded governmental agency. So I ran into him in his travels and I said, hey, off the record, something, this 2020 thing. He looked at me and he goes, no fucking way. And then he begins to explain this and the district and this and this and this and this and this. He's like, there's no way. And so that was it for me. Because I implicitly trust this person. So it was over for me. Then I hear about these 15 million vote delta with Miss Harris. 15 million votes. I'm saying they lost 15 million. They didn't turn out at the tune of 15 million in the first post-Roe election, when you had a woman of color who could have deposed the evil straight cis hetero white man, and that was not enough to get 15 million people to come out, who came out in 2020 for a really old guy competing against another old guy in the midst of a pandemic in which people had to stand 6 feet apart. Those conditions generated 15 million plus more votes than the current conditions, which was a literal historical event in the history of a country because it was our first post-Roe election. I My position is we can never know, but if some investigation or some FOIA in 20 years reveals that there was some funny shmoney going on, I would not be surprised. That's the best that I could do. Miss Christine Whitfield, that's the answer to the question. Thousands of millionaires' heavily insured homes just gave California the BlackRock special stimulus package. If you're in the right industry, that's a massive win. True. Xiao Zing says, would you want a female president? In the Bible it says God, man, women, child. Isn't that evil that I could have happened a few times? In the Bible it says God, man, women, child. I don't know what you mean by that, Xiao Zing. The Bible doesn't say anything about God, man, woman, child. Would I want a woman president? I would want a president who I believe is going to execute on what's best for the American people. I believe that Vladimir Putin is incredibly intelligent. I believe that he's much weaker than he projects himself to be. But I also understand that men in those situations are still extremely dangerous and volatile, because they have already decided on contingencies wherein they lose. Wherein the only logic is, how can we take out as much as people as possible with. So that relationship is an extremely difficult relationship to negotiate and foster. So if you were to put a woman like Hillary in that seat, it would almost certainly guarantee some sort of armed conflict, because Hillary is going to want to spike the football in Mr. Putin's face. She's going to try to publicly say all types of emasculating shit, and because she's a woman, hear her roar, and I think that would result in significant unnecessary loss of life. There was one time when Mr. Trump went to, it was like the Helsinki meeting, and he cleared everybody out and there was no media and it was just him and Putin, and people were like, this was terrible optics, blah 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 blah, because he was in the middle of Russiagate. I thought to myself, these people don't understand how violence works. When you have a strong man like Mr. Putin, you cannot publicly say, you can't do this or else we'll spank you. You can't do that with him. So you have those conversations behind closed doors where nobody can see. And you can say, listen, bruh, if you sneeze and your general sneezes and some of the particles go over to Ukraine, we're going to bomb the shit out of you. See what I'm saying? We're going to take out your entire fleet. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to come out, we're going to say what me and you talked about was just what me and you talked about. All right? And I'm not going to go out and here clown you in front of everybody. You know what happened with Mr. Barack Hussein Obama when Mr. Putin was playing around with Georgia? And Putin was signaling that he was about to turn back, and then Mr. Obama talked about the red line. That if Putin crossed that red line, then he was going to get busy. See, he said that shit publicly. And Mr. Obama doesn't understand. The minute you say that shit publicly, he has to do it. And then he has to trust and hope that you're not going to, follow through on what you said. Which, thankfully, you didn't. But you see my point. So, that's kind of where I'm at it with all that stuff, man. Like, I don't really care if it's male or female. What I care about is, do they have an understanding of the different layers of the negotiation process with a guy like that? Because what people have to understand is that we are trying to maintain our spot as the number one and only superpower in the world, while at the same time convincing people who have a vested interest in working together to not work together so as to make sure that we remain on top. Like, these are extremely difficult things to accomplish. They're extremely difficult and they're extremely tricky. You've never seen that part where it says men must lead women. I've seen a part where it says that that husbands should lead their wives and love them as Christ loved the church. I saw that part. I didn't see any part that says God, man, woman, child. I listen to a lot of Putin's speeches translated, and I'd be lying if I said sometimes he makes sense. I can at least understand. Of course you can understand his perspective. Of course. Our country has just been 6-7 years of absolute complete propaganda, McCarthyism, McCarthy era crazy shit about anything and everything Russian. I mean, look, I was just in my YouTube studio app thingamajiggy, which, you know, you got to do an audit every once in a while if you do this for your job. And they had all these things about AdSense and how you disqualify yourself. If you are based in Russia, they still are locking you out of AdSense. Just a regular civilian, if you're past X 100,000 subs and X million views, right? You now are not going to collect any revenue off of that. YouTube is still going to make money off of you, but they won't let you cash in on your hard work for YouTube if you're based in Russia. Okay? That's how, that's how brainwashed we are. You know what I'm saying? It's just crazy. Any other questions? I mean, I don't have a problem talking about Putin and the rest of them, but we can talk about anything. You know what I'm saying? Any question? Before I put on the clock. Don't make me put on the clock. You know, if you push that button. Adam and Eve is a good example of why a woman should never lead a man, and that's only the first book. It's maddening how we have pursued relations with Russia. We should have spent years building friendly relations with Russia to pull them away from China, but no, of course we didn't. Yeah, it's kind of like what the Dems do with instead of saying, how did we lose Joe Rogan, they say, how do we get a Joe Rogan? Because completely missing the point. That's not the point. Bro, it's in the Bible 3 times. Okay. In Genesis chapter 3, God shows up to Adam. And then he said, hey, man, it wasn't me, this woman you gave me. And he goes to Eve and says, what's going on, sweetheart? She said, hey, it was a serpent, right? So then the serpent gets cursed to lay on his belly. Eve gets cursed with pain in childbirth. And then God turns to Adam and says, because you listened to the voice of your wife. Right? So there, God is mad at Adam because he listened to the voice of his wife. That is not the same thing as saying God is mad anytime a woman tries to lead a man, especially in a relationship. Because in the very same book of Genesis, Sarah has an issue with, let's just say, Hagar Abraham's slave/concubine. This woman had a child by Abraham, and because of that, a giant jihad happened because the original wife, Sarah, was not able to provide a child. Meanwhile, this woman, this slave girl, is able to provide a child, so now the slave girl can now equal the scales. And finally, but remember, this slave baby, it's still Abraham's baby, right? So good old Abraham loves this kid. And finally, his original wife goes to him and says, that kid has to go because Jesus came to us and gave us a prophecy. And the prophecy said he was going to come from me, not from her. Therefore, he has to go. Well, Abraham did not like that for a very obvious reason. He loved that boy. He was his own son. So Abraham goes off to mope. And God shows up to Abraham and says, what's wrong with you? Abraham said, oh, that Ishmael could remain with me. And you know what God said? Well, Abraham, don't worry. Your wife is out here trying to usurp your authority. Just tell her that I said that you're the leader in the family and she can go kick rocks. Actually, that's not what God said to Abraham. Actually, what God said to Abraham was, listen to the voice of your wife, Sarah. That's what God told Abraham. So, no, the Bible does not say that in any and every circumstance, the man always has to lead. Sometimes the woman has to lead because the man is not as well versed in the Word of God as she is. And when these two had a dispute, God himself said, listen to the voice of your wife. Okay? That's in the same Bible, same book of Genesis. Same author, all that. Trump won because whites love their privileges and minorities want to believe they will be accepted 100% by either party, so they want to be kind of invisible. I don't know if we can break down the election in such simplistic terms. The same whites who didn't vote for Kamala voted for Obama twice. I don't understand the idea that if you're white, that you voted for Trump because you wanted to maintain white privilege. I think that there are some pretty glaring issues with the Democratic Party. Structurally, I mean, even in the way that she was presented to us as the candidate, she had 107 days. I don't know anybody that would have won under those circumstances. The economy was horrible. It was clear that her strategy was that she was not going to distance herself from Biden, who had his popularity rating in the 30s at the time. I mean, there was a lot stacked against Kamala Harris. Like, just practically as well as, psychologically with the collective consciousness of the entire country. I don't see how... You know what I'm saying? I don't see how. I don't think we need racism to explain that kind of a loss, in my opinion. I feel like I've been searching my whole life for something spiritual to believe in. Where I'm at now is, if God existed, he'd have made himself known to me by now. Either that or I don't fit the bill. Or he's communicating to you in ways that you're not recognizing as his communication. Do you prefer Trump to win, or were you hoping Kamala would? Well, I had very real concerns about the country if Kamala Harris was the president, because I've already lived through the Bush-Cheney thing. So during the Bush-Cheney, what do you call it, regime, there's like this running joke that it was really Dick Cheney who was the president, because for whatever reason, President Bush appeared to be not with it. Not with it in the Biden sense, just not very intelligent, basically. And so there's this whole dynamic of who's running the country, who's really making these decisions for us going to war all the time, and I had the exact same feeling in 2020 with Biden. It was like, okay, there's no way that this guy is running our country. So who's running? Is this the third Obama term? You see what I'm saying? That's kind of where I was at. I'm like, when I look at Kamala, it was very telling to me that she couldn't do her first interview by herself. She had to have Tim Waltz with her. That to me was like a real giant red flag there. I was like, oh man, this is a, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, that among other things. She didn't know how to reach people who were being scared of being left behind. Well, yeah, we talked about this, right? In the context of a marriage, a man is the head of his household. I said that right from the beginning. What you said was God, man, woman, child, or whatever. As if that is a fixed state. Thirdly, you asked about a female president. You did not ask about a female head of a marriage. See what I'm saying? Those are two completely different arenas. They are both scaremongers. Well, I'd probably say that the Dems were doing most of the scaremongering, right? They were the ones that were saying, if the candidate that we want to win doesn't win, then we're going to descend into fascism. We're going to lose democracy. That was the big thing. We're going to lose democracy. So I think maybe both were doing the scare tactics. I'm sure they were doing scare tactics about the Lake and Riley thing. So yeah, I mean, fear sells, and it's also a good way to get people's attention, I guess. Yeah. I think it was more about the economy for why Trump won. Most people think about race as much as some people seem to think. Sure, a racist, but most racists aren't racist, in my opinion. Yeah, I just think that this is one of the things that white liberal voters just do not understand about black people and the black experience. They'll say things like, apparently Trump's racism didn't matter, blah, 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 blah. It's like, Joe Biden said he didn't want his kids to grow up in a racial jungle. Joe Biden was against busing. When Kamala attacked him for it in 2020, he was like, no, it wasn't that. It was just a states' rights issue, which is exactly what all the segregationists were saying back in the 60s. I mean, this guy has actually, he did not write an op-ed in the New York Times like Trump did in the Section 5, Part 5. This man wrote legislation, sponsored legislation, popularized legislation that was explicitly designed to attack people like me. And he called us predators, only to be outdone the next day by Mrs. Hillary Rodham Clinton, who called us super predators, etc., 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 etc. He went to a black show and said, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black, in response to a question of, why should we vote for you? What are you going to do for us? He wouldn't even answer the question. He just laughed at Charlemagne right to his face and said, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black, Toby. This was the guy that you guys were telling us to vote for. So here's my thing about racism. All we've ever had to choose from were racists. And I've almost never met a black person not say that this is true. We would much rather a down south southern racist who believes what he believes and doesn't mince any words about it. We'd much rather that guy than the northeastern racist who believes that he's better than you, but it's going to come out in different ways, like telling you that you can't vote for Trump because he's racist. You need to vote for Joe Biden or Kamala. I'm pretty sure that Peter Thiel's AI network that he developed for the Pentagon is probably running the country. Only the wicked wanted her to win. Only the wicked wanted her to win? The wicked? How do you know? How do you know? Jow, how do you know all this stuff, bruh? This man said only the wicked wanted her to win. Who told you that? Who told you that? This man said only the wicked wanted her to win. What? The wicked? Yo, where you from, bruh? This man said the wicked. Okay, we talking about the wicked, alright. Baby, you see this shit? I got a screenshot of this. This my man said only the wicked wanted her to win. Alright. Wildin' out, boy. My red flag for Trump was his business decisions and his conviction in 1973 and his depiction of natives in 1993. Yeah, I mean, you got good reason not to vote for him, man. You got good reason not to vote for him. I just don't think that race was a real factor for black people this time around. I just, I think it took us a while, but maybe black people starting to figure out the race stuff is not really important to the white folks either. I think that's one of the things that this whole election has, oh my God, look at all these Latino people that voted for Trump, even though what he said about the Puerto Ricans. It's like, maybe they genuinely don't care anymore, bruh. Maybe we all were like, man, that ain't got nothing to do with me. Some people, they look at the Trump stuff and they're like, I could never vote for that person. And they stay by their convictions, and you can't do nothing but respect that. You can't do anything other than respect that. You see what I'm saying? And you got other people. Joe Biden has said some of the most racist shit I've ever heard. Judge Joe Brown said they used to call Biden the last real Dixie Cat. Of course. And we know. See, that's what I'm saying. Like, as black people, man, we know. We know. But, thankfully that politics is gonna die with that generation. So we're gonna have whole generations of black constituent voters who don't even know how absolutely inept the community has been about accumulating any sort of real institutional power. I'm sitting there and I'm like, wow, man, they really got us really, really good. I listen to a lot of left-wing podcast. There's this Native Land podcast, and it's a black podcast, and it's just very, very fascinating to watch the mindsets, and they'll say things like, we always come through, we always understand the assignment. And what they mean by that is black people are always voting for the Democrats in the tune of like 88 to 94%, right? And so that's something that they're bragging about and spiking the football about. Meanwhile, the Latino men gave the Democrats a 10% delta. And all I heard the days following the election was, we got to figure out how to get Latino men back. So, Latino men are about to qualify for whiteness in this bitch. Shout out to George Zimmerman. Would you say, are you left or right wing? I'm pro-life. That means I'm against abortion. It means I'm against war. It means I'm against the for-profit healthcare system. So I don't know what that makes me. But that's where I'm at. And I just think it's crazy to say only the wicked wanted Kamala Harris to win. I think that's just crazy. That's crazy talk to me, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you. That was crazy. What are your thoughts on Robert Kennedy Jr.'s appointment and thoughts on banning food additives in the U.S.? I'm all for the health stuff, man. I'm all for the health stuff. 100%. I think that there are major companies, both in the food industry as well as the pharma industry, that have a vested interest in us continuing to poison ourselves because it creates a nice little loop. For them to constantly have cash because we're such a sick populace. And so, like, if we could do something that even raises the median average of health plus 2%, plus 2.5%, again, how do we lose there? At least we've got somebody thinking in that direction. You know, we've got all these regulations that are really just designed to choke out small businesses as they're trying to compete with big businesses. Like, we could actually really do something here for people. So if we can do that, I'm for it. All the other stuff about the vaccine stuff, I just don't believe that he's like completely anti-vax. Anybody that challenged the COVID stuff got labeled crazy and all the rest of it. So I'm not very worried about, polio's gonna return or whatever, like, ridiculous. So I'm glad. I welcome all that. You know what I'm saying? I welcome all that, man. If that would be so cool if that, like, collectively, like Americans, like, I don't know. Like, what if we're all, like, noticeably healthier year over year? Like, would the people still making fun of RFK, would they give him props or what? You know what I'm saying? Like, why do we have to look at everything with such a cynical eye? Like, you know, Miss Obama, she was doing that health initiative for kids, getting people moving, all that stuff, getting to talk about childhood obesity. I thought that was great. Republicans, now she's trying to tell the kids how to eat. Well, yeah, like, healthy, dude. Like, come on. What her party represents is wickedness. Well, Zhao, do you believe that the Republican Party represents righteousness? Zhao, the scripture says that that a judge should hate a bribe. Maybe you should talk to Mr. Ted Cruz about that. Maybe we should talk to all the corruption we've seen on the right wing relative to that, including our Supreme Court, Mr. Clarence Thomas, receiving millions of dollars in freebies from folks in industries that he was supposed to decide on. So does that mean that the Republicans, that they're a party of evil, and everybody who supported a Republican is evil? Like, what are we doing here? He plans on banning corn syrup as well. That means real sugar in your Coke. Yeah, man, that corn syrup's a killer, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have a problem with these. But of course, if you're a what do you call it? If you're a libertarian, you can't support that though, because you know, like, they're taking away your opportunity to poison yourself. Well, theirs is much worse. Is it? It's much worse? Why is it much worse? Because you're a Republican and they're a Democrat, so when they're wicked, their wicked is worse than a Republican wicked? I think that's what they call special pleading, my boy. That's what it looks like to me. Do you want free speech? Well, I mean, my career kind of depends on having free speech, right? So, yes, I do want free speech. When I was growing up, though, I got to tell you, my brother, it was the evangelical Christians that were trying to cancel everybody. You know what I'm saying? That's just real. I'm not gonna lie to you. It was the evangelical Christians that were destroying everybody's free speech. Poor Marilyn Manson, he couldn't even go to a show, bro. We had shut him down. But yeah, and I think there's a lot of Democrats that want free speech too, right? They demonize any person of color that is conservative, so I can see why a lot vote left, just going along to get along. It's just easier. Nah, Christine. Nah, it's just... Black people are the simplest voting bloc to manipulate. That's just it. There's no deep... That's just it. That's really all it is. That's really all it is. Oh my God, I have so many names.
Baby, should I leave?
What'd you say?
Oh, I'm almost done here. Are you going to be going for longer? Like, should I get my makeup on and come in?
Nah, I'll be awesome. You wouldn't have it much longer if she got in, going with the easy offered feminist mindset. I don't know what you're saying, that if you're saying that if Kamala got elected president, that we wouldn't have free speech. Like, she would sign the constitutional amendment or something that'd take away our speech. I don't think all Republicans or Dems are evil. It's that each side of the party protects their country over the voter. That's true. What if RFK's food regulations results in Eric Garner-like situations from poverty-stricken, disenfranchised people selling black market gluten? In this reality, I don't even know if I'm joking. Yeah, but I mean, Eric Garner was selling Lucy cigarettes. You know what I'm saying? So the game's a little bit different there. I don't know. That's a good question, though. It's a real good question. It's challenging. You guys are weirdos, man, for real. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I think it wouldn't help free speech at all. Yeah, but I don't know what you mean by that. What do you mean it wouldn't help free speech if she got voted in? Like, was that part of her platform? Was censorship part of her platform? I'm not gonna lie to you. I didn't really listen to a lot of Kamala's platform, so let me know. Like, did she? Obviously, she wouldn't say censorship is in my platform, but did she basically? Was that basically the idea? That she was promoting everybody that, hey, we're gonna do some censorship in this bitch. Which, cool, if she did, I mean, I guess then you'd be right if she said that. You know what I mean? Do you think there's any hope for a third-party movement in the future? I think we've already seen a third-party movement. I think what happened to the Republican Party is that it got taken over from a third party from within. I think MAGA is a very distinct and separate kind of republicanism than the Republicans, or populism, or whatever people are going to want to call it. Okay? But whatever it is, I think that's what happened. I think that the Democrats, I think they had the exact same thought process relative to Bernie. They rightly understood that Bernie, and Bernie on a technical level really, is an independent. He caucuses with Democrats, obviously. But I believe that they submarined Bernie twice because they viewed him as a legitimate third-party candidate who was going to essentially take over the Democratic Party right from under them, and they were right, because that's what has happened with Trump, and the party's never going to be the same again. And so in order to maintain that power position, the Democrats would not allow that to happen. So I do think third parties are easily winnable in American politics. You just have to be smart about how you go about doing it. I think Trump was just such a goofy idea that him and his movement was able to slip through the cracks before the Republicans could really do anything significant to stop him. That's what it looked like happened to me, which is why you have Russiagate and all this other stuff happen. Do Americans even want to get healthier? Even liberal New Yorkers are opposed to regulation of soda portions. There's a lot that other countries do to keep their populace healthy. We should also bring back more rigorous fitness programming in school, banning cartoon mascots designed to sell unhealthy food to children, etc. Yeah, man, I remember like when I was a kid and you'd go for the presidential award, like it was a Kennedy something, and you had to do X amount of push-ups. They did agility, all that stuff. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, the aspirational stuff is what I would love to see us like looking at. Is Trump a wannabe dictator? I don't believe so. I have said the January 6th stuff was unforgivable. I still mean that, but I don't believe that there was some Hitlerian energy coursing through his veins on January 6th. To me, it is just as banal as, I don't want to lose to a guy like Joe Biden. There's no way I can accept losing to Joe Biden in front of the entire world. I have to do something to cast aspersions and doubt into the idea that he actually beat me because he couldn't deal with it. That, to me, is what he did. That literally, that was his motivation. Hey! And yeah, there's a sense in which everybody wants to be a dictator, factual to a degree. But, the hyperbolic language relative to Trump, I think, is one of the things that really hurt his opponents this time around. It really, really did. So, I think I am glad for that, because maybe now we can just get back to having conversations about issues labeling people fascist, and then, well, I don't want to be a fascist, and I want people to not think I'm a fascist, so I'm going to go out now and overcompensate and all this, say all this shit about Trump and blah, blah, blah. Man, like, hopefully now we can actually know what people really think. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, you even heard it when, what's-his-face, dude from Facebook was explaining their new policy. He's like, look, man, you know, it was just too much. We made too many mistakes with it. It's like, of course, man. Like, good night. So I'm glad that the election is having that kind of an effect on people, because, like, I want to know what people actually think. But everybody has to be super careful now when they talk. You know what I'm saying? Of all the drama people give about Trump, that's the most ridiculous to me. You're scared of this politician because you think he's power hungry. Okay. Isn't it kind of ironic that even after Bush, Trump was allowed to exist, but Bernie wasn't? Because it turned out that the RNC was actually the lesser corrupt one until that point, after all. Yeah, and like I said, it's not like the Republicans didn't have the will. They started the Never Trump campaign in the middle of the primaries. Okay? There was no Never Bernie campaign like that, but it was crazy because what happened with the Republicans was the Republicans ended up bending to the will of the people, and the Democrats just super delegated Bernie Sanders up out of there. So, yeah, man, I don't know, bro. Like, we're in a very, very, very interesting time to be alive, man. And there's some stuff to me that's like, in my opinion, so obvious, so plain as day. You know what I'm saying? But not so much. You know what I'm saying? Not so much, I guess. The RNC doesn't have super delegates, so if the people vote something the RNC doesn't like, they have to suck it up and sort. Yeah, no, that's, yeah, and that's that's the thing that was killing me as I was listening to these people talk about, like, democracy's on the line, blah 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 blah. It's like, y'all, I was gonna vote. We were in the middle of a giant, literal jihad with the state relative to us going back and forth with abortion. So we were, like, extremely politicized. I was going to vote blue in 2016. And then they took Bernie away from us, man. Like, it's crazy to me. The MAGA faction in the GOP, funnily enough, actually more closely resembles the early Republican Party with Trump's protectionism, anti-free trade stance. Right. Oh, I agree with that. It's like we're seeing a resurgence of paleoconservative, which makes the neocons in this party partly uncomfortable because they thought that they had already defeated these people decades ago. We know only Zuckerberg didn't do that because he didn't want Trump to go after him. Well, he said as much about why he was doing it in the first place. He was saying that they were calling to threaten him, yelling at his employers, throwing their weight around. I mean, that shit is, I would imagine it would be extremely intimidating. So, I mean, I get it. You know what I'm saying? I understand why he would be doing that. But the other thing is that, and this is one of the things that gets me about, like, quote unquote cancel culture and all this stuff, is that it looks like people don't understand that there's more than one way to skin a cat. You know what I'm saying? That there is more than one way to skin a cat. I don't think Zuckerberg ever wanted the government forcing the sensitive platform and chase paying customer ways. Exactly. Trust me, I don't really know how these tech people think, but I'm sure he didn't say, man, I would love to have to spend millions of dollars a year on a contingency to babysit people. Like, it's insane. Like, who would want to do that in the first freaking place? You know how big that company is? It's like millions of people. It's millions of dollars. I don't know. What are the policies that you would adopt from the Nordic countries? I love the Nordic model on sex work. The sex workers not penalized, but the exploiters are. I would adopt that immediately. Should taxes fund our healthcare system instead of private-run insurance company? Yes. Medicare for all. Period. They got Zuck to comply by threatening to actually enforce regulations and antitrust laws on big tech. Why would any business owner want that? Yeah, I mean, understandable. You know what I'm saying? Understandable. What I'd adopt from them is that if a company requires a government bailout, from that point it is owned by the government. It's socialized. Brilliant. Brilliant. Yes. Bring that here immediately. Yeah. Instead, we got what we got in 2008, which is, don't worry, we'll pay off your bill, but then you get to keep the company and then give yourself a bonus while this guy's house gets foreclosed on. Astaghfirullah. Unbelievable. Unbelievable, people. Why did God create a reality with children get leukemia? Is that a good God? Well, it depends on your view of the world. If you believe there is a God and that the kingdom belongs to children, as my God said, then the leukemia is the entrance for the child to be back in the highest state of bliss that's possible. But it does create another situation for the parents who are now, no doubt, walking around with a void. There's a lot of people that are important to me that aren't here anymore. I could say, why did you let this and this happen? Why did you let this and this happen? But I never asked myself this question. Why was I lucky enough to know this person? So, that's kind of how I look at it. I look at it and I say, what made me so deserving as to know this person? There's literally billions of people on this planet who never had the honor and the joy of sharing the same room with some of these people. And I did. So, I asked those questions too. This world is not the end-all be-all. We are in this world to learn some lessons, and they're not very complex ones. And then, once we have learned those lessons, the real living will start to begin. And leukemia and acute ethanol poisoning, overdosing on prescription meds, not doing heroin for 5 years, doing one hit and then dying 2 days before your birthday. Jesus looked at all of us and said, in this world you will have trouble. But take heart, I have overcome the world. Yep. I think you should start doing reactions to more rap music and breaking down the lyrics. That might happen. That might happen. Oh no! The problem of evil, the solution to this question is to watch The Man of Steel. That's correct. That'll give you all the theodicy you will ever need, dear listener. Man of Steel. You know that ain't right. You know that ain't right. Oh, man. I got a project to do with Shorty. I got a project to do with Shorty. We could have private run insurance and be functional. Just look at Switzerland, Germany, or the Netherlands. We just have a bizarre system where insurance is tied up to your employer. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. I gotta tell people the truth, Vin. Man of Steel is a good movie. The haters can shut it. Henry Cavill is awesome. Yeah, man, I liked Henry Cavill as a Man of Steel. Although, like, it didn't really hit me with the intensity that Christopher Reeves did. Christopher Reeves as Superman was just awe-inspiring for me. Really, truly awe-inspiring for me, for sure. As an avid capitalist and rabid anti-socialist, that's a very good and interesting point about ownership post-bailout, mech. I didn't even know you were that big of a capitalist, Blame Gravity. Yeah, see, American healthcare is so screwy. Yeah, man, like, it's pretty crazy. And I truly believe that our healthcare system is the main culprit for all these active shooters. I really do. If you could go and get mental health and it wouldn't destroy you economically, I think we'd see a lot less of these active shooter situations. Dudes are medicated properly. All the rest of it, we'd be in a lot better shape. That's what I think. And I got all my right-wing friends, every time one of these things comes up, it's like, yeah, man, it's a mental health thing. It's like, all right, cool. Well, can we at least nationalize mental health services? Nope. It's like, all right. It doesn't seem like there are any solutions here that don't result in people dying. What are most of your viewers, left or right wing? Most of my viewers are probably left. They're probably on the left side. Not many right wingers, and at least that participate. You know what I'm saying? But I'm pretty far to the right. I'm an ardent American nationalist nativist. Yeah, I think a lot of people are, though. You know what I'm saying? I think a lot of people are. I don't. Wasn't that just used to be like, oh, so and so loves their country? I didn't even know that was a bad thing to say you love your country. People are like, you love your country more than other countries? I'm like, of course. What do you mean? What is going on over here? Was Jesus a Muslim according to their definition of Muslim? No. Jesus said he was the Son of God. Jesus referred to God as Father. Jesus said that although the world wasn't working, he was working because the Father was still working. Jesus said that he had glory with the Father. Jesus said that he was going to judge all human beings, living and dead, on the last day, which would include Muhammad. So no, Jesus was not a Muslim according to Islamic standards. It's because the flaw would obviously be that the constitutional assumption of we the people is curtailed when the ownership goes to the government, who are not in fact the people who are fitting the bill. Very good point. Very good point. There's a sneaky psyop attempting to distance black Americans from their Americanness and discourage us from having pride in being American by telling us we're somehow permanent foreigners. I agree. I agree with that completely. I agree with that completely. All right, guys, 5 minutes, 5 minutes. 5 minutes. 5 minuto. 5 minuto. Auspicious. Did you see the new Superman trailer? I have. I have seen the new Superman trailer. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. It looks exciting. I'm not gonna lie. It looks exciting, y'all. It looks exciting. Is anybody going to see Superman? Everybody, everywhere. We'll say Clint Eastwood is the scariest man. I'm a Native American. I actually find men that know the Bible or the Quran well or are right wing and hate the feminist movement. I know the Bible decently well, I guess. I don't hate the feminist movement. And I do not believe that all right-wing policies are policies that please Christ. So, I'll probably see it out of morbid curiosity. You talking about the new Superman joint? Man, I don't know why. Henry Cavill, honestly, he looks to me like the perfect candidate for Superman, right? Just the jawline alone. No Diddy. I'm just saying, the dude, if you saw Superman in real life, you'd be like, yeah, okay, this fits, this works. You see what I'm saying? I don't know what's going on with people. But they didn't like my boy after that, didn't he only had one shot at it, right? I don't know. Shout out to Henry Cavill, man. He was good, bro. Don't let him bring you down, baby. Global Earth or flat Earth? I am an oblong sphere guy. Oblong sphere is what I believe. I'm still it's still wild to me that no disrespect to nobody, I promise you on God, but it's just crazy to me that these are questions that we're asking each other in 2025, and we may not know the answer. It's crazy to me. This is where we're at. It's just crazy, bruh. Man, when I thought, when 2025 hit, we're going to be on hoverboards, we're going to be skating, it's going to be crazy. Nope. Is the earth flat or round? Allahu Akbar. What is going on? I would have never believed that, too. I'd have never believed. Man, nobody be asking me that question, 2025, stop lying. I would have been wrong. I was wrong. They do ask some questions in 2025. But like I said, it's valid to ask them. That's what's so crazy to me. I promise y'all, I'm not making fun of anyone. I'm making fun of us, as a collective. You feel me? You say the feminist movement goes against the Bible in most cases. The feminist movement goes against the Bible. No, I don't believe that the feminist movement goes against the Bible in most cases. Yeah, man. I mean, we don't, I mean, hey. It happens, man. The Phantom of the Opera is here. Is there any truth in tarot cards? I don't know anything about tarot cards. Do I believe that there are people who have contacts with extra dimensional beings? Yes, I do believe there are people that do that, and 99% of them are dangerous. You should avoid them. There's nothing like watching somebody get dragged and laughed at for calling the earth round. Yeah. There are literally people dragging other people for believing that the earth is round. And these people had the nerve to tell me that I can't homeschool my kids, man, if y'all don't be quiet. If y'all don't be quiet. Oh, Lord. No. We literally have people mocking people for believing in a spherical earth. Lord Jesus of Nazareth, man. Help us, Lord. I'm a regular for Flat Earth Podcast. There are podcasts? I might even go to the dip. The convention. Hey, get me the link to this thing, man. I need a link. I need a link. I need to see this shit myself. Oh my God. Sub-Zero. Is there any truth in astrology? I don't know. I wish Sori was here. Sori's into all that shit. She'll tell you. Ask her those questions. And my homie is Savage got put in the casket, and I'm mad at him because he died on us. Just left his viewing, and I told his mom every time that she slide, we gonna cry on him. Oh, look at you niggas right there. Yeah, I ain't surprised you ain't ride for us. Man, they got... That is crazy to me. Mech, you gonna have to send me... Mech, you gonna have to send me... You have to send me this information, Mech. You gonna have to send me this information, Mech. Because I don't believe it. We don't believe you. You need more people. I thought your baby mama was Christian. She's into astrology too? My baby mama? You talking about my wife? You weirdo? Perhaps you should be mocked for believing in a spherical earth. Maybe people should come to the empirical conclusion that the earth is round and leave the believing to God. Yeah, I saw what you did there. I thought what you did there. I saw what you did there. I still can't believe that you said that the Bible isn't the opposite of the feminist movement. Dude, you sell out Christian. DOFK Meek, what tenet of feminism is the diametric opposite of the Bible? That's a really emotional reaction, man. I wonder how people get so emotional about dudes they've never met before. But kid's really offended. The kid's really offended. But all right, I'll take some time to talk to you. If you're mad at me, go ahead and make your case. I'm a sellout Christian. I'm a sellout Christian. Terrible. Because feminism is so popular right now. I gave up on the idea I might actually talk myself into memorizing what all the degree and angles and meant when it came to astrology. Any thoughts on antinatalism? I think that antinatalism is the only conclusion a person that was raised in this country could come to without God. Obviously, I believe it's a horrible idea. It obviously is an even from a secular perspective would be an anti-evolutionary idea. So yeah, I think antinatalism is symptomatic of a culture that has no constraints or restraints on sexual proclivities, and on top of that, a culture that has taken all transcendent meaning and value away so that they can be replaced with empty husks of machinery to work in a corporate machine and make very few people very, very rich. And so I think anybody who operates within that system, who recognizes that they're in that system, would, for that and a whole host of other reasons, adopt antinatalist ideology. So that's my take on that matter, my friend. All right, guys, 5 minutes. 5 minutes. 5 minutos. Here's Mike. Do you think the feminist movement would have got anywhere in the age of Jesus with all this OnlyFans crap and women not getting married when they're in their sexual prime, thinking having money will help them get a better quality male when they're 30 with a career? Yeah, I understand that about our culture, but what does that have to do with saying that feminism is the opposite of the Bible? I'm asking you, what tenet of feminism is opposed to the Bible is what I'm asking you. All there's single mother households. Right. Single mother households. We're going to blame that on the woman? Well, if she's a mother, how did she become to be a mother? You think the vast majority of single women in America did so because they went to a sperm bank and purposely decided to raise a child on their own in an economy like this? Is that what you're talking about? I mean, I'm trying to track with you, my boy. I'm trying to track with you. You get married when you are young in the good books. Well, some people get married when they're young in the good book. Some people don't get married at all in the good book. Like Paul. Like Daniel. Like Jesus. Sometimes you marry in your old age. Like Abraham married Keturah when he was over 100 years old. So I'm not seeing... You keep saying, you keep setting up this dichotomy between feminism and the Bible, but I'm not seeing. What are you talking about, bruh? Do you think it's our choice who gets to reproduce? It's her bad decision making in picking the wrong partner. Well, biblically speaking, it's nobody's choice if they reproduce. It's God's choice because God opens and closes the womb from a biblical worldview. But again, what does this have to do with feminism? Like, what tenet of feminism is against the Bible? They talk about needing to marry young so women will be fertile, like there isn't a whole biblical story about God making a 60-year-old woman fertile. Yeah, there are multiple stories about God making very old women fertile. So I don't know where homies go. I'm trying to get there with them. You know what I'm saying? I put the 5-minute timer on. I'm staying longer than the 5 minutes I committed to because I'm trying to get this guy to, have a conversation with your boy. But what the hell is going on here, bro? I don't know, bro. I think you gotta come up with something different. You gotta come up with something different. Give people what they want. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. But the other thing that I was saying about, women and single mothers is that, you need a man, right, to create a single mother. So why is all the blame and the discussion happening only about the women if we're talking about single motherhood? Like, isn't that, you know what I'm saying? Like, as a man, you gotta step up and take care of that, shouldn't you? You really think that the Bible wants OnlyFans? DOFK, when have I ever said that the Bible wants OnlyFans? What are you talking about? I did a live moderated debate where I argued that we should make that stuff illegal. I don't get how you're coming to these conclusions that you come to, bruh. Like, I promise you, I'm not trying to mock you. I'm just saying, like, how are you getting from A to B? You know what I mean? Because I'm like, what? I got a friend, like, hardcore feminist. She hates OnlyFans and all sex work. So she's like, yo, that's not the movement. So it's not like every woman is out there promoting OnlyFans. A lot of women are calling it out for being misogynist and exploitative, which obviously I agree. But it seems like you think that if you support a feminism on one thing or two things that, hey, Wired Raccoon City, good to see you, buddy. Feminists are against porn and prostitution. Audra Dorkin attempted to make the creation of such material a civil rights violation. Yeah, I mean, I didn't know that. Kudos to her, but I meant the new age OnlyFans. I think there's only one kind of OnlyFans, right? It's not like OnlyFans has been around for generations, bruh. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of weird to me, dude. I ain't gonna lie to you. Like, do you frequent OnlyFans? Is that the thing? Do you watch? Do you go to that website a lot and you want to blame the women for creating the content that you can't seem to stay away from? I'm not understanding, like, where this line of questioning is coming from. And secondly, I'm the one that gave you the questions. I was asking you to explain to me the correlation between feminism and Satan or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Also, when I quoted that scripture about God telling Abraham to listen to the voice of his wife because she was right and he was wrong, you didn't comment on that either. So if you could, like, answer some of these questions that I'm asking you, you know what I'm saying? That would be cool, bro. They believe their body, their choice to do that. New age feminists. No, I have a wife and kids. Okay, so why are you talking about OnlyFans? I never brought OnlyFans up, bruh. So why are we having that conversation? And as I said, and as Mech pointed out, there are a lot of women and a lot of feminists who are against OnlyFans and all the rest of it. So if you would choose a Muslim to debate, who would it be? I mean, I gotta tell you, the Muslim debating crowd right now, they're not in a good situation right now for them. So at this, I really don't care. I honestly believe that Islam in the West, as far as the apologetic side of it, I think that that's dead. There are just way too many issues with the. It's really interesting for all of their written material. I've begun really to see that this is a religion that is really an oral tradition. Like, I know there's a lot of Quran and Hadith, like, as far as the corpus of the documents, but it's truly an oral tradition on the ground street level. I don't think they have anybody anymore. I think it's over for them, to be honest with you. I'm not saying Islam is over. I just think that form of dawah, when they're going toe to toe against Christian apologists, like, I've never really seen it go well for them. I don't know. I can tell you where it's coming from. It's not the Bible. He's just repeating lines from either Twitter or Fresh and Fit in whatever podcast, but don't even remember that they are. Yeah, like that Fresh and Fit, those dudes, man, they hate women, bro. Like, they hate them. Like, everything's a woman's fault. Everything, the Jews and women, they hate them. I'm like, damn, I didn't, okay, all right, that's for y'all, all right. Cool. I just thought it was wrong you saying the Bible isn't the opposite to feminists. That's the biggest sellout thing to say, bro. Okay, I mean, if you think I'm a sellout, that's okay. You know, you're still coming welcome. I think maybe we have a language barrier situation because, quite frankly, brother, I have no idea what the hell you're talking about. So, you know, like, I appreciate your patience with me. I just don't understand how we got here. That's all. You know what I'm saying? That's all, bro. Don't be mad at me. Yes, sir. There are literally pics of Fresh from Fresh and Fit, half naked in bed with dudes. What? Yeah, like, them dudes be, I don't know, bro. Like, yeah, a couple of them look kind of spicy. I'm not gonna lie to you. A couple of them are kind of spicy. But you know that hey, that's what y'all on. That's what y'all on. Like, I'm not, you know. It's just not my thing, you know. But hey, y'all go ahead. Unbelievable. The shit I go through for you, America.
Oh my God.
God Almighty. I was just trying to get this dude to explain to me, like, the evils of feminism. I was a willing student. I was a willing pupil. The other dude from Fresh and Fit was caught getting his girlfriends from arrangements. Oh my God. That's greasy as hell, boy. Later, free naturalist. Good to see you, buddy. Good old homie. All right, guys. 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Ask your last questions. Round them up and ask your final questions, losers. Are Fresh and Fit Christian? Why would I say what they say? Never seen him much before. Okay. That's cool, Meek, but again, I'm not really sure what you're asking me. I don't view feminism the way that you view feminism, apparently. I still think it's necessary. I don't think we've gotten to, like, where we completely need to be. I think we've made improvements, but I still think there's a long way to go. But I'm trying to figure out like what is the what have I been saying that sells out Christianity in that context? That's where, you know, because I take my faith very seriously, right? So I just needed. I'm like, okay, well, what is he talking about? Like maybe there's a giant blind spot that I'm missing. It's very possible. But then I asked you the questions. You don't got no answers for me, baby. I mean, what can I do with that? What am I supposed to do with that? You know, it's going to leave a giant hole in my heart. I'm going to have all these questions and existential crisis because I'm like, damn, like, I wonder what he meant by that. He never told me. See what I'm saying? You got to help. Help us, Lord. Legolas. I say anything right wing. Now I don't have my own opinion. I got it from Fresh. Okay, guys. Like I said, one more question. You know, it looks like we got a language barrier thing going on there. So don't worry about it, Meek. You're good to go. I think we got each other figured out. This is Sparta. Sparta. What are your 3 favorite movies? Black Hawk Down, Lord of the Rings 1, Lord of the Rings 2. There you go. There you go. What are your favorite movies? I think everything is wrong about the New Age feminine movement today. Okay? Well, thank you for sharing that concern. I don't know what else to say after that. 5 minutes, losers. 5 minutes. I said I was going to answer one more question. So somebody better come up with some really good question for me to answer. Or I'll leave. I'll make like a tree and split.
No, it's make like a tree and leave.
I know, I always do that. And definitely opposite to the Word of God. How dare you snub Return of the King? Yeah, I mean, Return of the King was great, but Black Hawk Down was, it was an important movie in my history. In the legend that is me. And Lord of the Rings 1 was incredible, obviously. That was the first time I'd ever really experienced an epic like that. And 2, they did a great job as well. So yeah, 3, I don't know. It's kind of like bogged down. I was like, I don't know, bruh. I don't know. Vin, I'm really interested in post-millennialism. Do you have any suggestions where I could start with the topic? I have about 8 hours worth of a thing I did on post-millennialism like 5-10 years ago. I might send it to you. Christians are very hard on females. The Bible's definitely not in favor of females. Well, shit, man. If that's what you think, then I could see why you have a problem not with me promoting feminism, because I've never promoted feminism, but because I won't denigrate feminism, you're angry at me. Now it all makes sense, because it looks to me you truly believe that the Bible's hard on women. It must be pretty easy on us then, huh? I don't know, bruh. I don't know. I'm having a hard time believing that you're genuinely the person you say that you are. That's pretty crazy for you to say that, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you. That's crazy. That's crazy talk. That is crazy talk. Crazy. What is postmillennialism? So postmillennialism is the idea that Christianity is going to so permeate the globe that people will demand Christian Sharia. And that by the time Jesus arrives to the earth, he's going to be arriving to a welcoming committee of a globe that has been aching for his return. So that's postmillennialism. It's an optimistic view of the future instead of the left behind stuff. That's nowhere in the Bible. I had just converted to postmillennialism like that week, and then they're like, hey, we want to know what you think about that. So then we did a whole Bible study on it for like a month straight. So I've got about 8 to 10 hours of content. I've just never posted that out. I never made that readily available for the from the publica. It's actually Apocalypse Now, Return of the King, 2 Towers. Okay, I see that. Feminist movement is women are better than men and should be in power. Nope. Or at least if that's what it is, I didn't get that. I've never heard a feminist say that she's better than men. To me, it just looks like the feminists are saying that we're equal to men. And I agree with that. I think that that's biblically accurate, and anybody that disagrees that women are not equal to men are just heretics. So I mean, I don't know. It's not like, there's like a lot of stuff in the Bible where it's like, oh, I don't know, you can interpret that way. Oh, well, this looks like just as a valid interpretation, blah, blah, blah. Like, we've had debates about things for a very long time. This is not one of them. This is not one of them. Women are equal to men. They're image bearers of God, just like we are. All that. I think that you have issue with some of the feminists that you've met in your life, and it appears that some of the feminists that you met in your life have said probably some pretty hurtful things to you. But I don't think that we can jump from those interactions to saying that the entire movement is saying that men are better than women and all the other stuff, or vice versa or whatever. What I do see, what I'm starting to see a lot of, is a lot of very angry dudes who have been rejected by girls who appear to be out of their league, and now use the internet as a place to ventilate all their frustrations at being constantly rejected and ostensibly humiliated by these girls. I'm seeing a lot of that. I'm seeing a lot of bitter ex-husbands who took their wives for granted and ended up losing them, and now they're all angry, and of course it's the woman's fault. So I've seen a lot of that online. I haven't seen a lot, but I'm sure, look, man, all of us are sinners. I'm sure you could find a woman somewhere that says that women are better than men or whatever. I just think that the stuff that I'm seeing now in the quote manosphere concerns me. First and foremost, as a father with sons, it's an extremely concerning thing. You know, because now I look at my boys and I'm like, oh, okay, so this is the messaging going on, right? So this is how I can completely like destroy it and completely annihilate it, so that my boys are not influenced by that nonsense. And I'll sit there and I'll feel really satisfied at the end of that. Like, all right, they know now. Then I'm like, is some dude out there doing that with some dude that's going to end up with my daughter? Probably not. So, yeah, sometimes it can get to be a little nerve-wracking. I'm not going to lie to you, as a father with daughters, man. Like, ugh, that's the the whole arranged marriage thing. I would do that if they'd let me get away with it. I really would. But then it's like, that still doesn't protect you from getting, for them from getting hurt. I mean, it can happen anytime, anywhere, and ugh. That's the hard part about being a parent, man. Is like really like going from, I'm the person that's always going to protect you. I'm going to make sure I'm going to minimize as much pain as you could possibly have. Like, is that the slow process of like releasing your fingers and letting them go? Like, that shit's tough to do, bruh. Very, very tough to do. Because the world is just, it's nothing out there but, ugh. Y'all know what it is. You guys know what it is already. Wouldn't trade it for a second, though. Wouldn't trade it for a second. But it is definitely a hell of a challenge. Probably hasn't actually met these feminists, but rather saw them online. Probably hasn't been rejected by a woman out of his league, but rather a woman out of yeah, look, Meek, like, I'm cool. Like, I don't have any quarrel with you, bro. I don't have any quarrel with you. It's just like, if Christians say, hey, you're compromising on Christianity here, I really take that seriously. I don't like, oh, I'm just going to ignore that. So if I'm assuming you're a Christian and you're saying, hey, you're selling out the faith, I'm like, well, shit, I don't want to sell out the faith. I'm trying to get you to tell me what the hell's going on. And it's just a bunch of run-on sentences. But again, like, honestly, like, it's probably a language barrier thing. But I do take the shit seriously, man. Like, if you're a Christian and you're saying, like, you're seeing something, like, I take that very, very seriously. So, that's all. Like, if you were just joking, that's cool too. You could have just said, hey, man, I was just joking. Ain't no thing but a chicken wing on a string at Burger King. See what I'm saying? I mean, you ain't gotta say it like that, but you know what I mean. All right. All right, guys. Thank you guys all for hanging out and come chilling with your boy. I will see you guys later. I think I'm going to do another one of these pretty soon here coming up. So be there or be square. Vin